My new article is about how professors teach and how students learn in professional schools of art and design. I did ethnographic studies of two professional schools. One of them is the Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, Georgia. The other one is Washington University in St. Louis. And what I found really just surprised me. It changed the way I think about creativity, first of all, because I went in asking these professors and videotaping their classrooms. I went in asking, how do you teach people to be creative? And all of them said, well, we don't really think we're doing that. And so I said, well, what are you doing? What do you hope the students will learn? And that resulted in a fascinating series of conversations. At the end of all of these conversations, observing all of these classrooms, I'm convinced that the professors actually are teaching creativity and that the students are indeed learning how to engage in creative processes. But it changed the way I think about what creativity is. What creativity is in these situations, in these schools of education, art, and design, creativity is a process. It's a process through time. It's a process that can be taught. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of seeing. It's a way of engaging with materials, generating artifacts, interacting with those artifacts, and iteratively revising them. Very much like what we think of as a design process or design thinking. It's very consistent with the latest research on creativity and how creativity works. What my research shows is that creativity isn't mysterious, even when we're looking at highly creative fields like painting, sculpture, and design professions like graphic design, architecture, advertising, communication design. I looked at a total of 15 different disciplines, and these range from the fine arts like painting all the way over to fairly practical design subjects like interior design or advertising. Another thing that surprised me was how similar education is in these different fields. A lot of people think that art is really different from design, that design has a practical function, that it serves a user, that it works for a client, that there are a lot of constraints in your creative process, whereas in fine art, like painting or sculpture, that it's open-ended, that you can do pretty much anything you want. But what I found is when it comes to pedagogy, there is essentially no real difference in how professors teach students how to master these fields. And what I see in my videotapes of studio classrooms is very similar interactions, very similar conversations, and always a process of creativity as something that's not mysterious. It's something that takes a lot of work. It's hard to learn. And students do have to overcome some of their misconceptions about what creativity is and, in some ways, who they are as creators, what they feel is their identity as creative individuals. But for the rest of us, when we look at this research, to me, it helps us understand how we can teach in any subject in a way that is more likely to lead to the ability to generate creativity, creative learning outcomes, whether it's science or mathematics or engineering or language arts or foreign language. Any of these subjects, I believe, can be taught in ways that are more likely to lead to creative learning outcomes. And I believe that my findings from this research have implications for how we would teach in any subject if we're interested in having students learn to be more creative.